My father used to punish us by sending us to the dairy barn to milk Alice.
Well, what's so terrible about that?
You had to milk Alice sitting on a stool.
I thought you always milked a cow sitting on a stool.
No, Alice had to sit on a stool. You see, when Charlie went off to war, I went to work for our local USO club. And that's where I first met Eddie, the aqua midget.
He was a blue midget?
Don't be ridiculous. He was a diving midget. That was his act. He used to jump off a stepladder into this gigantic punch bowl.
So, what happened?
Nothing. He'd just swim to the side and hop out.
I mean, what happened between you and Eddie?
We talked a lot between shows, and of course I didn't realize it, but he was falling for me.
Didn't have far to fall.
It started with little things.
I bet.
Pretty soon the situation got out of control, and I tried to let him down gently.
You tried to make it short and sweet.
He just wouldn't take no for an answer. It had nothing to do with his size. It was simply that I could never become seriously involved with anybody in show business.
Thank you, Rose. I don't know what to say. And I mean that from the bottom.
You see, she was involved in this nasty plowing accident. It was during spring planting, and Daddy had hitched her up to the plow because poor old Toby had gotten a fever and gone deaf.
Yeah, Rose. Sweetheart, save the story. When David comes back, tell him. That can be his punishment.
This is like the long day's journey into light.
Night, Rose.
Night, Dorothy. How is it possible to get pregnant in Sicily just by crossing the street? We're grandmothers. It wouldn't be fair to be this old and have to raise children.
Rose, what are you doing?
Watching the cheese balls.
You're supposed to be watching Dorothy.
I was watching Dorothy. But every time I watch her, Sophia eats a cheese ball.
You let her have the darn cheese balls.
ball,
Nobody
Mommy?
else wants them.
Yes, thank you very much. Now I know what I'm giving up for Lent.
Feel a lot better. And the next day may be better still.
And the next day, maybe.
That's
All the men I
right.
meet are so old. Last week, I went out with this man that talked for 2 hours about his prostate problems. I lived in Minnesota for 51 years. I never even heard of a prostate.
Honey, they don't have them there. It's too cold.
Shall I set this down someplace?
No, Rose. Go to the corner and open a stand. It's the longest she's been interested in any man since Paul McCartney.
Kate dated Paul McCartney? I have some very distressing news. Sophia's eating cheese balls.
Rose, you give brandy for teething. You rub it on their gums.
Oh, I thought I gave it to them for colic. In their bottles. Well, my babies were very happy.
Put it in my bottle. I'll be happy too. My sister's dying.
What?
Dying. She's dying.
Oh, my God, Blanche! Oh, I didn't even know you were sick.
Not Blanche, her sister.
Oh, thank God. Oh. I don't like hospitals either. They're full of germs. I always hold my breath in the elevators because there are sick people in the elevators and it's such a small space. And once I had to go to the 8th floor in a hospital and the elevator stopped on every floor and I had to hold my breath all that time. And I finally fainted and I hit my head and then I had to stay there because I had a concussion and I had to hold my breath all the way down in the elevator to the emergency room. Then I had to hold my breath in the x-ray where they ask you to hold your breath anyway. And then after...
I have great news.
Rose, excuse me, we'll get back to your fascinating hospital story later.
There's something about that man I don't trust. I can't put my finger on it.
I can. He's a lech.
No, that isn't it. Anderbo?
Oh, yes,
That's right.
Anderbo Johnson. Clyde Whitehead, Anderbo's beau, decided he wanted to see my cheerleader sweater from the inside. So when I told Anderbo, she blamed the whole thing on me. And then Clyde would never speak to me again for telling. I lost Anderbo. Now you understand why I can't tell Dorothy?
I don't even understand who Anderbobo is. She could marry that man. They could have a child. They could adopt a child. And then one night at the country club, possibly during little Mei Ling's coming out party, Dorothy's having the time of her life when she goes to the powder room and she overhears the towel lady telling Mrs. Steinbeck that Dorothy's husband, Dr. Elliot Clayton, has bonged every female member of the country club. Can you let that happen to Dorothy? Can you let that happen to little Mei Ling? Hasn't she suffered enough?
Not as much as I have listening to that story. You're right. She is my best friend.
I thought I was your best friend.
You were till you told me that story.
Has anyone ever told you you look exactly like Jerry Vale?
No.
They should. He's the only man in the world that can make the hair on my arms stand up. Can I fix you a drink?
No, thanks. Is something wrong with your leg?
Nothing you can't fix, Doctor Man.
I beg your pardon.
I know I look square, but I'm like my father's tractor. I take a while to warm up, but once I get going, I can turn your topsoil till the cows come home. I heard footsteps.
Oh.
It was my nightmare come true. Someone was after me. I ran. He ran. I ran faster. He ran faster.
No.
He grabbed my arm, and I turned around and dropped him. Kneed him right in his safe deposit box. Dropped him like a sack of potatoes. He lay on the ground, and he was writhing and groaning and screaming in agony. And I stood over him, and I looked at this pitiable creature. I'm not helpless. I'm going to be okay.
Oh, honey.
Honey, that is
Wonderful.
fantastic.
I have faith again. Kill the killers. This calls for champagne. I'll get it.
Oh, no, honey, there's none on ice.
Well, I'll put some in the freezer. Be ready in 20 minutes.
Oh, so what happens now? I guess you press charges, right?
Well, no, actually not. He might press charges, though.
Why?
You see, the guy that was moaning and screaming and groaning in agony was the parking attendant. He was coming after me because I forgot to pick up my keys. But I'm not afraid anymore.
That's good. That's a good thing.